I'll start out by asking you this question. This is a very important question that everyone in this country needs to ask themselves. If a child were found unaccompanied in New York City, in Washington, D.C., in San Diego, you pick the city, what does that unaccompanied child who's been abandoned, who's all alone, what does that child deserve? That child deserves to be protected. And I can tell you that that child likely would be protected in any one of those cities. Guarded, protected. If anyone came to pick that child up, there's going to be a background check. There's going to be a DNA test. There's going to be extensive research into whoever's claiming to be the guardian of this child. Now, why is that so important, especially in the United States? Unfortunately, the United States is the #1 country in consuming child exploitation material in the entire world. In other words, per capita, we might have the most pedophiles than any other country. Even more reason why any American child who appears unaccompanied in a city deserves our protection. So my question for this administration, why will you not, at the very least, give these foreign children that same protection? You're giving them no protection, hardly any at all. In fact, what you're giving them is a joke. These children show up unaccompanied. Over 300,000 over the last several years. Where are they? 85,000, according to Health and Human Services, who had them at one point, disappeared into the belly of the country that consumes more child exploitation material than any other country on the planet. This should horrify every American. Why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. We have the resources. We refuse to enforce the borders. Last week, I had the unique opportunity to spend a day with the president of Honduras, President Castro. And the next day, I went to Guatemala and I met with President Giamatti, the president of Guatemala. Now, interestingly, because unfortunately, everything in this country is so political, politics over children, unfortunately, is what we're doing in this country. Interestingly, President Castro of Honduras is very socialist. The president of Guatemala is very conservative. And yet they told me the exact same thing. Their children and their women are being put in a situation that is terrifying. And it's all thanks to who? To the United States of America. Because we open our borders and it's a vacuum. The traffickers love us. According to the New York Post, the traffickers along the Mexican border are making $14 million a day. I believe that. I spent 10 years on that border. I believe it. Millions are coming through these countries. They can't handle all the movement of the countries. Children are being lost along the way. And those children end up at our borders. And what happens? These kids show up. I've been there. I've seen it. A piece of paper may be tied to their shirt with a safety pin or in their pocket with a name and a number, the sponsor. Health and Human Services, they are ordered. It's not their fault. Border Patrol, DHS. I work for DHS. These are great men and women. They're being ordered by this administration to do what they're doing. And what is that? I hate to say this, but they have become child trafficking delivery services that human traffickers and child traffickers are able to utilize. They're smarter than we think. They know our stupid policies are allowing them to make millions of dollars. And so they attach a little name to the kid. Or someone calls in and says, I'm the sponsor. Now the administration is going to say, well, we do look at documents. Really? How long? They'll tell you they don't have time to look at it that closely. You know how easy it is to forge documents? I propose to you that foreign children are children of God, just as much as any American child is a child of God. And they deserve the exact same protection that any U.S. child should deserve. Background checks, DNA, run the whole gamut. Do not release these children into the United States. 85,000 are missing, and that's thanks to the Biden administration. They did this, and thanks to Congressman Smith and the sponsors of this bill, we're going to go find those children. And we're going to prevent any other child from being subjected to what is really slavery in our nation. This is despicable. We should drop everything to fix this problem before anything else we talk about. This should be the headlines every single day until we end this problem. Human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise on the face of the earth. There's close to 30 million people, according to the State Department, according to the UN, people in slavery. And millions of those children, millions of those slaves are children. And their traffickers are trying to get them into this market, this black market, our land, our country. It's time to rise up. It's time to support Congressman Chris Smith, who's done more, in my opinion, more than anyone in Congress, more than anyone maybe in American history on the legislative side, to end the abuse of children. And so I'm so grateful to stand by his side, because we need to stand by these children, and he's standing by these children. Because at the end of the day, the iconic line in the film Sound of Freedom by the actor Jim Caviezel, who plays me, he says something that's very important. I'll end with this line. We do all of this because God's children are not for sale. Thank you.